Welcome to NetSuite for Government. In this session, we will review the procure-to-pay workflow. We'll begin with an overview of projects, grants, and then the procurement features. Within Oracle NetSuite for Government, we can track revenues and expenditures against our projects for operating or capital needs. Let's start by searching for the Oracle Public Safety Suite project. Within this project, we also have several project management features that will help track the project plan with tasks, milestones, and a Gantt chart view. Now let's navigate to our project dashboard. It's possible to have a dashboard for each individual project, or one that is global across all projects. Dashboards can be personalized to provide alerts, reporting, and access to specific tasks. For more information on how to configure and use the dashboard, refer to the NetSuite for Government Features and Navigation video catalog. We've customized our dashboard to include portlets such as project links for quick navigation to other features within our project, a Gantt chart view for project management, and the project budget. Let's dive into the budget section. In this scenario, the accounting segments consist of three parts: the fund, the department, and the account. It also has project grant and tasks, which are considered sub-ledgers within NetSuite for Government. This allows us to track the financial and budgetary data for a chart of accounts, but also keep the subledger for each individual area of both projects and grants separately. The project budget displays the actual hierarchy. In some instances, grants are tracked to the task level. There's also an indication where no grants are tracked. To the right is the workflow of the actual budget. The remaining encumbrances, actuals that have been charged against the project, and the remaining budget. Included within our procurement process is the grant. The grant details include the project, funds, and the administrative officials. Terms and conditions as well as milestones can be added to the grant information. In the Related Records tab are the requisition lines associated with this grant. Now, let's create a requisition starting from our shortcut group portlet. For the requisition, we'll walk through the addition of both hardware and software. The initial step is to attach the quotes to the requisition through drag and drop. Under the Communication tab, we can see that the files have been attached. The next step is to add the items to be purchased. The first item is the Oracle Dispatch Command Center. The system will default information about each item as it is added to the form. Information such as the fund, the department, and the account can be saved within the item. To edit the information within an item, select the Edit button. One of the unique features embedded within NetSuite is Oracle's generative AI capabilities. We can utilize this generative AI feature to create or edit the item purchase description. To make changes to the purchase description, simply select the Enhance Text button. From there, we can clean up the description, generate a new description, and make the description longer or shorter. Let's go ahead and generate a new description. Once we've saved our changes, we can head back to our requisition to finish adding additional items. After all the items are assigned to the requisition, we can select Save and Submit for approval to push this transaction through the approval workflow. Before we approve this requisition, let's navigate to the Workflows page to learn about approval workflows. In our approval process, NetSuite has a user-friendly workflow design that applies to individual transactions and records, and provides for multiple approval paths within the workflow. We'll first look at an example of a simple purchase order approval workflow. Each workflow is graphically represented so it's easy to follow. Here, in this example, it begins with the initiation, moves to pending approval with a rejection and an approval path. Next, we'll look at a more complex example. This is a purchase order workflow. We can see this is far more complex with multiple interactions and options to reach approval level. We have the initiation, and then it branches off with the option of emergency approval, depending on the conditions you create. Alternately, it will route through the purchasing department. For customers who do not have centralized purchasing, with a simple edit, we can have it go directly to the department manager. Each individual line is considered a transition, and each transition allows additional criteria. In this example, transactions that require an approval will route from the department manager to the department director. The condition in this case is defined as being greater than $5,000. If the PO is greater than $10,000, it will route to the finance director. As we can see, each individual transition point must meet a condition and requires an approver. The transaction will be set to approve when all conditions on the path are met. These are just a couple examples of purchasing workflows, which can be as simple or as complex as required. Now let's head back and approve our requisition. Once approved, the procurement individual or the person who created the requisition will have the opportunity to create the purchase order. Creating a purchase order can be done directly from the requisition or through the navigation menu under Order Requisitions. We can search by the requisition number or various other options. Today we'll look for Requisition 12. We'll collect all items associated with the requisition and submit them for the creation of a purchase order. This action initiates the Process Purchase Order screen. The Process Purchase Order screen is extremely helpful because it allows us to continue our work on other tasks. If we need to create additional purchase orders or have other tasks to complete, this process can run in the background without interruption to our day. Another important feature within the process of creating a purchase order from a requisition is that if there are multiple vendors on a requisition, purchase orders will be created and sent to each vendor. At this point, we will review the vendor bill capture functionality and create a bill for this purchase order using optical character recognition, also known as OCR. We received a bill in our email from the vendor, and now let's use NetSuite's bill capture feature to process it. First, we'll select the bill we want to attach. Once the file is attached, we can upload the file. The status will indicate OCR process pending as it progresses. This OCR feature identifies the recognizable features from the invoice, and when completed, it will automatically populate those features into the invoice fields. We will see information such as the upload date, the file name, the vendor bill date, and due date. Under Actions, we'll click the Review link, and the original invoice will appear in a side-by-side view. On the right-hand side, the data from the invoice is populated into the system's invoice fields through the OCR. The user would validate these fields and then select the remaining information from the drop-downs or add the data into the fields manually. On the review of the scanned invoice, the related item information is captured along with the purchase order number, quantities, and cost. The departments and locations will come in directly from the purchase order. With the data in place, we can save for later or create the bill. Let's go ahead and create the bill. This is where the system kicks off any workflow approvals that are configured for vendor bills. If there are any two-way or three-way matches, these are applied, then it's forwarded to the departments to review and approve. The approver will click the Approve button, and once the vendor bill is approved, it will be available for payment. Before we make the payment, we'll navigate back to the project dashboard to review the actual budgets. On the budget screen, the Actuals column will now reflect the PO total. For our example, we can see the $52,500 that was associated with the purchase order. Now we will walk through the payment of the bill. On the bill payment screen, there's the option to use a manual check or to send EFT information to the vendor. Select the checkbox under the Apply tab. This instance is for a single vendor, but you can also pay multiple vendors at the same time. Once the bill payment is created, we can then print our checks or send the EFTs. Starting from our project dashboard, we can review any associated capital assets. If assets have already been created, we will see them under the Custom tab. Here, we can see all of the assets. If we click on the asset ID, we can see the details of the asset itself. Under the General tab, we'll see the purchase order and bill that are associated with the asset. These are clickable, as is the project, which ties all the documents together, making it possible to navigate back and forth and follow the complete history of records associated to the assets and the project.